Hi guys, it's Colette. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to the channel, welcome, and I hope you'll stay a wee while. My name is Colette and my channel is Grandmother Winds of the Earth, and we're going to do a question answer today. The list that came in was quite long, which is lovely, thank you. So I've just kind of cut and pasted it, and we might do 2 videos or 3, it just depends, but we'll see what I can talk so much, so I could probably get caught in a topic. To be honest, maybe I'll make some of them, note them to be a longer video at a future time. That might work better for some of them. So anyway, I hope you enjoy my answers, and also if you think of anything else, put more questions down, and I'll just cut and paste them and do these every so often. That way you'll maybe have some questions answered about spirituality, and also my spirituality, my path, my life. It's really mainly all I can talk about, to be honest. I know my stuff, I walk my talk, and that's the best I can do, and that's all I'll offer you. So let's go. First one, let's see. This is second time trying to record this. I recorded something and then it came up that my SD card was full, and I thought, whoa, that must be a lot of stuff I need to look at. So anyway, the first one is from Denise, and it says, can I ask what White Storm looks like? How do you see him, and has he always been with you? Have you also had others? Denise, that's a good question. White Storm's been around me since I was a wee boy, since I was a wee girl and he was a wee boy. And I just used to call him my Indian boy. He was like, people in the family just treated him as my little friend. There's a lot about White Storm in my Memoirs of a Clairvoyant book, because obviously he's a major part of it. I will put a line drawing of what he looks like in the community tab after this video, so that you can have a wee look. Now, it will look a wee bit like Sitting Bull, but there's a reason for that. Basically, White Storm's been around me for very, very well, since as long as I can remember, and he's grown up, and I have a connection to him in past lives as well. So I know him, I know him as he shows himself, I know him as his white light energy, and I know him as part of a life that I was also in. And that's the way he shows himself mainly, unless we're journaling. Now, in that life, he was Native American, and he was actually a family member of mine. Now, it's interesting because I see him quite clearly, and I never had a photo of him. I never had anything that I could say even reminded me of him. But one day I had a client in, and she said the wrong words. She said, I wish I could see your White Storm. And she felt an energy behind her, and she turned and looked, and she saw him, and she was like, oh my God, oh my God. Oh my goodness, he's kind of huge and amazing and whatever. And she kind of wanted to end the reading after that, because she was very shocked but very delighted, but also it's shaken her quite a bit. Later on that afternoon, no, not later on the afternoon, a few days later, I got a card through the post, and it's from this lady, and she had gone straight into Glasgow to meet a friend after the reading, and she managed to be standing with her back to a card shop, feeling quite nervy and all out of sorts, because she really had seen this huge being, this huge energy, and she felt someone looking at her behind her, and she turned. The cards that were facing out the window were all Native American ones, and in the middle of them there was one that looked very like what she'd seen White Storm, and she went inside and bought it, wrote it to me, and sent it. Now, that card is a kind of, I think it's maybe of a younger Sitting Bull, I'm not sure, but that's all I had for years, and it was like White Storm, but it wasn't him, it wasn't the way I see him, it wasn't the way that it was near him, but it wasn't enough. Just like saying that one face in a crowd, is like another face, but it was very close, and I mean, I was delighted to get it. And years later, I had contact with a designer, and he offered to do a line drawing of it from that, but also with what I put in on top. I was like, oh, his nose is narrower, his eyes are a bit bigger than that, and there's this and that, and take out that sort of Yankee thing because from the 1400s, and you know, that's all wrong. And the chap literally took the artwork, took my expression of it and put it together, and I have actually a beautiful line drawing of White Storm. I'm not good at editing and I can't put things in the video, but I'll put it in the, if you go to community, you'll see that I talk and post pictures there all the time. I don't know if you have to be subscribed for that, but it'll be in there and you can maybe look at it, and I'll link it to the video. So he's Native American. That's the way he shows himself in this life. That's also the way I remember him from that life. And he's just always been around. I have got into so many scraps because of him, and so many. When I was a child, he gave me kind of confidence. I was a child that could easily have been bullied into not good stuff. I still was bullied. I had red hair, a squint, hearing loss, freckles and a flat face because my nose hadn't developed properly with the way I was born. So yeah, but he gave me this confidence as well, as just to, if I wanted to climb a wall, I'd climb a wall. If I wanted to jump off a tree, I'd jump off a tree. And it was good. It was good. He's my guide. When I think of him in the past life that I was in with him, there's an even deeper relationship there. And when I just generally, I realise when he is such a huge being that yes, also he's a mentor, a teacher, and a higher guide, and sometimes that's what I've got to remember, that he may have been with me in that life and come to be around me this life, but he's also there for a reason, and it's I believe it's been my education. So you asked, did I have any other guides? I believe that we get more than one guide. I believe that one is our sort of birth to death, and actually many life guides. But in this life, I had another very active guide who showed herself as a Viking woman, and she was pregnant. And whenever someone came in that maybe was early pregnancy or whatever, if she appeared, I would know that they were pregnant. And sometimes she would stay and I would maybe help them a bit, check they'd, you know, were doing everything right or whatever, and give them support if they needed it. And sometimes when I had a project that I wanted to give birth to, she came around as well. I've also seen a kind of monk person round about, but I really don't know about him. He just used to appear and be there, and I don't know, it was like almost a sentinel at times, but I didn't really know much about him. I just knew that he appeared sometimes. So White Storm's my main spirit guide. I've had also the Viking woman and a few others here or there that I would say were of the moment. I've also got an animal spirit guide who is basically a big cat guide, and also shares White Storm's name. So what you want to think on that is up to you, but they both share the same name, and the animal guide guides me on journeys. So yeah, that's the answer to that one. Obviously there's a lot in there that could be unpicked, but we'll go for that for now. So thank you, Denise. I've got a lovely drink today. I've got good Scottish water with black currants from the garden and strawberries from the garden. I'm very blessed, very blessed. Vonda, hi Vonda, nice to see you, love. Says, was it difficult early on your journey to see loved ones after they passed? Yes and no. Yeah, I've always had like my sister in spirit around me for most of the time. From when I was born. She died before I was born, so I was used to playing with her, and so that made it almost a bit normal. Because I knew in my soul that people went and come back and were around us. When my dear gran died when I was 16, I really wanted her to come back. I was part of the, how would I say it? There was a procedure of ill health that led to her death, and I was very close to her and was very much part of that. And there were parts of it that there were decisions left to me at age 16 about what to do with certain medical things, which looking back was not ideal, but I made the decision to, she broke her hips. I had to get her to hospital and she didn't want to go. So basically she went to hospital, caught pneumonia, had a stroke, excuse me, broken hip, you know, and she died, and I didn't get to see her from her going into hospital, from me getting the ambulance to come and take her in. I didn't get to see her, and she died. So as a 16-year-old, I was, you need to tell my gran I've done okay, you know, you need to get back, you need to give me a sign. And it took a year or so, but she did get back, and it was just lovely seeing her, and there was just this total feeling of love. So I knew that I'd done everything I could, Vonda. But after a while, after maybe 10, maybe 13, 14 years, she started to go into the background as though she was going to a different level, or was maybe in some way in a different part of her journey. And not long after that, a family member, a young child, died, and she came about, and she was very much there, not so much for me as but more for my husband at that time. And then I lost my own baby, as you know, and he came back very quickly. And was around all the time. And with what happened with my mum, with my gran, I was very aware that spirits sometimes don't stay around forever for visits. And if you think of that, if we believe in, you know, the movement towards different degrees of spirituality, of oneness, of bliss, then they're on a journey too. So I knew with the way that my wee sister had moved on, my gran had moved on, that my boy would move on at some point too. And I didn't want to tolerate that, because I'd seen him growing up. You know, he presented himself when he was 5, when he was 7, as time went on. And then one time I looked and he was this big man, you know, and I was like, whoa, wow. And then the visits got less and less, and I did not want that to happen. But you have to accept that, you know, sometimes they'll come back a lot, and other times they've got their own journey and their own way to go forward, and we will see them again. It's not necessarily them to be about all the time. They can pop back for the odd message, but that was a lesson for me, that I had to let people go. The hardest one was probably letting my son go. My mum and dad, first time my dad got back, I actually got such a fright. I was ironing and I burnt my hand on the iron. And it was lovely. He reassured me again that everything was well. And I was able to say to him that I would look after mum and stuff. And then when my mum went, you know, and they've been over 20 years, 25 years or something now, but they still pop back from time to time. which is lovely. But I still have a wee cry after it sometimes, you know. So I think I'm answering your question, but I've gone off in a tangent here. It's difficult but beautiful to see the loved ones, and sometimes it can be very healing. Sometimes they will let you know that you're doing the right thing, or you did do your best for them when they were about. But it's also that wrench because they're going to go away again, you know. And I'm going through that at the moment with Nellie, because she's turned up a few times and it's caught my breath, and I've been like, oh, Nellie, you know, and talking to her. I'm still not over this wee one. And then she got that look that almost looked as though she was smiling. Excuse me. Goodness. Hankies. Anyway, so, and then she goes away. And then I want her back again. So I think if you're in that period of healing after a bereavement, it's very hard when they come back. But again, most humans tend to get back maybe after a year, and at that time you're through a certain degree of the grief. But Nellie, I don't know, I think Nellie's got this cord that just is so strong. She got back quite quickly and has been around quite a bit. So as you can see, it's wonderful to see them, and it's devastating when they go. But I'd rather have this gift than not have it, and I know you'll feel the same, Fonda. You just maybe need reassurance with it. But look, we're all human, and it's only right that we would have big emotions about seeing our people, or our dogs, or our cats, or whatever. And it's all right to have that rush of love or rush of happiness and then be sad. Also, it's perfectly okay to start with, to, you know, if you're seeing spirits as you're a bit older, it's all right to also be fearful sometimes as well. I was just used to them. I mean, I honestly at times didn't realise who was real and who wasn't sometimes as a kid. So yeah, it's hard, but it's wonderful, and I wouldn't have not had this gift for anything. So there you go, and thank you for asking, Wanda, and thank you for being with the channel for so long. Right. Oh, I can hardly see because my eyes are all, I bet I've got the mascara down here. Right, I'm just doing them as they come in, I think. This is from Lulu. I've had some bad experiences with mediums calling themselves spiritual counsellors, but not really been informed about mental health. I know you have good boundaries around not approaching strangers with messages, etc. So would really love to hear your take on some mediums using the term counsellor or coach, which seems in the fashion at the moment. What do you think? Right, Lulu. For a medium, is it medium or clairvoyance kind of you're asking? Mediums calling themselves spiritual counsellors. The word counsellor in there I have a problem with, because when we think of counsellors, we think of, well, I think of maybe a bereavement counsellor, or a marriage counsellor, or a mental health counsellor. The word counsellor in that way seems to, it tells me of someone that is almost accredited for what they do, and it's more a mental health thing. So a medium putting counsellor, it's up to them, but it's not something I would do. I used to call myself a clairvoyant, give a clairvoyant consultation. and I know that could be seen as slightly the same, but it wasn't. A consultation is a consultation. A brickie can give a consultation. You know, like anybody that knows their stuff can almost give a consultation. But the word counsellor implies to me someone that has had training and normally in mental health, so it's not something I would do, and it's not something I would aspire to do. I know as mediums we give a lot of information and we pass on things, but and yes, we could maybe give advice on someone going through a bereavement and talking about the afterlife, etc. But I wouldn't call myself a spiritual counsellor, put it that way. Right. Time coach, spiritual coach. I think I mean I've had a lot of face-to-face classes that I used to give in shamanism and also magic. So that was a very sort of physical, hands-on, people are here. And in that situation, maybe a coach of whatever I was teaching at that time, okay, it's still not something I would possibly use. But I could see coach maybe being okay. Again, we've got football coaches, we've got maybe coaches that help people with their lives and in matters that they know about, and you know, in knowing about shamanic stuff and knowing about magic and knowing even about mediumship. I could tolerate the name coach, but that's different to counsellor, I think. Now everybody's, you know, there may be some people on the channel that call themselves counsellors or coaches. If you're okay with that and it's what you feel you're doing, that's fine. But just remember, maybe if someone does come in and in some way thinks you've got an overlap with a mental health qualification, then you need to put them right. And if you do have that mental health qualifications, which I know a lot of people that are spiritual do, and you also offer the spiritual advice, well, you know, knock yourself out, you're a counsellor. But if you don't have the mental health background, no, I don't think counsellor is a good thing. So I hope that makes sense to you, that ramble. Right. Hi Colette, I was wondering if it's harder for you to connect with spirits who have passed a long time ago versus the ones who have more recently departed. And in relation to that, have you found that there's a point when a spirit becomes unreachable? And that's by Juanita. Juanita, nice to see you. Right, as I've said, I've sensed that there's a kind of, you get maybe a family member or whatever and they pass and you don't maybe get them back for a year or so because you're doing your healing, they're doing theirs. After that they may get back, and at that point they can be quite good to connect with because they're full of what they want to tell you. So that becomes easier. As I've said, with people that have been in my life, that then there seems to be this 10, 15, 20 year mark where they're not so accessible. Don't get me wrong, they can get back to you, but it's not as regular and the contact is not as easy after that period. And then what seems to happen is when it goes to longer and longer, it's almost as though it's very easy for them to come through again. They're almost, in a sense, become an ancestor, or maybe they've reached a spiritual level that they literally are just there, almost like the ancestors. So yes, it's weird, like there's a, you know, a year where the contact is almost, I used to ask people that wanted a reading, if you're looking for a message from someone, has the person been away over a year? And if they say no, I say please wait a wee while then and call me back. So yeah, and after that time it's not bad, and then after a while it gets harder, and then long time it becomes again quite easy. Sometimes as well I get a feeling of a completed energy of that cycle, and I know I'm not maybe going to hear from the person again, and it's because they've moved on to another life, to be honest. I can still access maybe the energy or the energy that was around them in that life, almost like an imprint, but their actual soul has moved on to a new life. And that's an intriguing one for me as well, because I'm always like, right, okay, I've got this essence of them, but not them anymore. I wonder where they've gone. I wonder where they're back. You know, it's, oh, this stuff does my head in at times. There's so much to it. Different lives, different realities. Oh my goodness. So that's my answer. Let's see if I've got time for another one. Oh my goodness, we've got loads of, yeah. This one more, okay. Do you think having an anxiety disorder and being an empath are connected somehow? And that's from Carrie. I don't think I've ever known a true empath, one that feels things so deeply, that literally feels the energy from another person, not just senses it, but an empath feels it. I've never known an empath that doesn't have a degree of anxiety or a full-blown anxiety disorder. I've never known one. Have I? I'd say the nearest to that is maybe Jim. He's very, very empathic, but doesn't necessarily get that. But he would say he's not as empathetic as I think he is. Anyway, let's go back to it. In the main, I would say that if you are an empath living in this world at this time, you're going to have anxiety. I don't think there's any option, honey. I really don't. And that's why I've put like self-care advice for empaths. That's a video you can maybe have a look at. If I can catch it, I'll link it below if I remember. If not, it's in there under empaths or self-care. That's why I try to, all my life, I have set boundaries, because I knew if I didn't, there would be a sense of almost panic creeping up, and then that panic would lead to something would happen that I knew was the cause of that, maybe feeling something build up. And this is different to prediction. This is the energy maybe coming off someone or whatever. And from very early on, if I look back, I did self-care techniques. I've always been able to go into my own imagination, my own space. Literally could be in quite a busy place and literally in my own space. And if I didn't do that, then I would be anxious. I used to, you know, make sure that if I went into Asda or whatever, I had like certain crystals with me or on me, because I had my first major panic attack. Not that I've had many of them. It was associated with menopause as well, but with menopause, my self-care wasn't working as well as maybe it should have. I had to learn that I needed more protection and self-care at menopause, and I was overwhelmed by just the energy from people and also the stress and frazzledness in Asda. I online shop now. I don't think I would be good, especially if there's things going scarce, because I would be like, get me out of here, I don't care. So yeah, I think that every empath would be very prone I need to understand that they would be prone to general anxiety, and worse, it may develop into a full anxiety disorder. And that's why, you know, that when it gets into an anxiety disorder, that's a mental health problem, and I cannot really help with that. A therapist could, certain things that you can do through therapy, etc., can help. What I can do is lay out the aspects that I know as self-care as a person would help in that situation. But there's a difference from just being anxious to a full-blown anxiety disorder. I know people, I have people I know very close to me that have anxiety disorder. I have in times been anxious, but it's not the same. But I know that I managed to quell my anxiety by using self-care techniques to protect me, and I know that they would work a bit with also help from a mental health professional. There's a difference from just having anxiety to having anxiety disorder, and I know that the techniques that I have can help prevent anxiety, but may not prevent anxiety disorder, but they could maybe help a little. But I do think that empaths are generally more prone to anxiety, more prone to stress. If they let it get on top of them, you know, the sense of maybe if it's a very negative time, like during COVID or during, you know, the wars and stuff that we see, I do believe that could go into a sense of, sorry, Benji's just made a noise there that sounded like he was breaking wind, but he's snoring and it wasn't me. So please, if you hear that again, please know that it's Benji having a sleep beside me. Anyway, yes, with all that's going on, again, that energy, if it's not protected, can lead to even depression and things even worse. So I'm very much, I like to put into place for myself, and also I regularly tell family and friends about self-care. You should do this, you should do that. I've been known, I've got a friend in the USA, and I've been known to send her little crystals with self-care on it, just as a reminder. You do this. Because I think that empaths can be extra prone to a lot of mental health disorders that are there, and I don't, you know, I don't have the qualifications to understand maybe why or how or whatever. I'm a pharmacist with a retired pharmacist that works in a shamanic practice, or did, again, retired. But if you, I cannot believe Benji's snoring so much. Never mind. If you feel that you are both, like, you empathetic and you also have a disorder, make sure that you take the advice from maybe people like myself that are older and wiser and know how to protect themselves a bit, but also do not take that advice instead of a professional advice from a person that knows the mental health stuff, i.e. a practitioner. Right, quite a wee bit about mental health in this one, so I've only got through 4 questions. Right, this is number 1 of however long it takes, but please, if anything comes out of this, add more questions, because we could do 1 of these a month or 2 of these a month. I don't mind talking off the top of my head, you know. I actually quite enjoy that at times. If you've questions, put them in the comments below and I will put them in for further down the line. And I hope you like this. Can I ask you, if you like it, please give it a thumbs up, because that's the only way, or comment, both, do both. But that's the only way I really know if you like it. So if I do something and it doesn't get a lot of comments or likes, I'm like, did they like that? And the numbers that watch it might be quite good, but I'm not really sure if it's something that you would want more of. So this is new, the question and answer, quite a bit. And it's not, obviously it's not mini readings or anything, it's just about spiritual questions or my spiritual path, and maybe questions that would help you. So I've lost the plot now, oh my goodness. Yeah, please thumbs up and comment if you would, and share it as well if you want. But ultimately, I like these myself. The problem I've got, and I'll just add it on, is that my upload speed at this cottage is 1.3. Now 1.3, most people have 300. So if I do a video over about 20 minutes, it can take 7 hours to upload. Yes, 7 hours. And there's nothing can be done because the cables that come into the cottage need upgraded, and there's, believe it or not, one place owns the cables and another maintains them, and the two of them aren't talking to one another, or were, but aren't anymore. So I think we're stuck with that upload speed. But bear with me, because if I do a longer video it might take ages to go up. I still want to do them, but I'm going to try and keep them at 10 minutes, which, let's laugh at that now, folks. Anyway, so say a wee prayer for my upload speeds. It's not going to get much better, but just pray for the upload speed not to get any worse. And let me know if you like these videos. I'll be back and do more soon. Many blessings. Love you and leave you. Thank you for the questions. I'm enjoying answering them. They're making me think, which is great. So thank you for everybody that sent in questions. I've got a lot more here, and I'm sure I'll have more down below. So it might just be a rolling thing. So thank you, and take care. And please, please, try and walk your own talk as well as you can, because in doing that, you will find yourself. Many blessings now. Bye.